Welcome. I apologize for being late. I was setting up something and I noticed that whenever I do a broadcast on Facebook, it kind of drag, but I trust that everyone has had a nice day. Welcome to my first series of messages on the pussification of a male. And I want to share my thoughts and hope it will be a blessing, giving enlightenment to what's going on in society today. And I was asked many times, I got some notes on why do I do what I do? Why do I do what I do? Is it because I want to get financial reward? I want a lot of people to like my website. No, I do it because I have to. I do it because I feel it's a calling. I do it because it's something within me to do. It's not about, it's not about wealth and fame. I always look at anything that I do, and whatever money I receive from it will be because of the labor that I put into it. So that's why I do what I do. I feel that I have a calling. Everyone in life has a mission in life. Some of us realized it. Some of us realize it too late and never be able to accomplish anything in our life. We die on this earth. What have we left? A wife, or children, or property. But how can people benefit from the things that you and I say to each other? So that is what I'm doing. And I came across this, I heard this quote, and I felt it was beneficial for me, and I want to be beneficial for you. So why do I do what I do? Because this is a quote. First, it came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trades unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came from the Jew, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. As I thought about it, I said, how can I apply it to you and I today? So I wrote a short version that I want to share. First, it came for the white male, and I did not speak out because I was not a white male. Then they came for other races of male, and I did not speak out because I did not see any benefits for me. Then they came for the black male, and I did not speak out because I had no one left to speak for me. We should always encourage other males. We should always begin to look at our actions and our behavior and the things that we do and the things that we say. Our behavior toward others should be fair-minded, thoughtful, intelligent, and we should come with an idea. We should not reject things from people that we hear because we don't understand it, or it put fear in us, or it's too hard to believe. We should consider what we heard, discuss with other individuals, do our own homework, and come to a rational conclusion as to what we heard. A longer version of this series will be on my YouTube channel, and when I finish it. Also, my message on Facebook will be short, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, 30 minutes tops, depending on what I'm talking about. And the reason for that, because I know a lot of individuals prefer to come to Facebook and they very seldom venture out to YouTube channel for whatever reason. That's their choice. And for those of you who can see my shirt, I decided to wear a pink shirt because I remember a long time ago when I was young, when I was wearing a pink shirt, I liked it because the way it looked on me, someone said it was real men do not wear a pink shirt. Then I thought about it. What is a real man? Is a real man defined by a pink shirt? No. A real man is defined by his character and morals, not by his race, his financial status, or how much materialistic thing he has in his life. And I'll get into that as I continue on with this series. If I told you in the 1960s or 50s, 60s, 70s that we will have, pagers, beepers, internet, iPhone, smartphones, smart TV, smart watches, cars, Alexas, and so on, you may consider me to be crazy. When we hear something and we don't understand it or don't believe it, should it be rejected? No, as I mentioned throughout a lot of videos I post, that we should consider what we heard. It's not about race. It's not about how you look. It's not about your wealth or what is in your bank account. We should always consider that what we have heard. And by doing so, we will put up a defense to keep us from being seduced into thinking the wrong things. So what brought me to this topic? I was reading something on the internet and it said a pussification of American society. And I said, And I recall hearing that term, the pussification of the American male, long time ago when it was used in a comedy skit or act by this common comedian, I think it was George Carlin. He used to always say the pussification of a male. So as I thought about it, I began to say, how can it apply to you and I today? Yes, it applies to all males, and also it applies to female, giving them understanding about themselves and why men behave the way they do. It's not about, as I want to emphasize, it's not about race, it's not about sex. I'm sorry, it's not about race, it's about the male deballing, if you want to call it that. The mental state of a mind. It's not mostly about sex, it's about the mental state of an individual, the mental state of a mind. To give you an example, the next time you turn on your television, or you probably already have knowledge that when you see a lot of TV shows, the man is portrayed in a feminine role. A man is wearing clothing that women will wear dresses, wigs, and someone say, oh, he's acting, and he may be, but in the old days, if you have means to look at the earlier movies in the past, you wouldn't even catch a man wearing a dress or anything feminine to portray him as a female. But now a lot of TV shows and music and radio, they're portraying a man in a feminine role. You know, we hear things about football is too tough. Children should not play football. Children should not play hockey. Everything is everything is guided toward the castration of the male mindset that make them think that, being tough. I call it the Clint Eastwood era where he say, go ahead and make my day. When last have you seen a good old fashioned movie where the man is portrayed as the hero, the breadwinner, or, setting moral examples, thinking for himself, or being truthful, speaking the truth in the midst of lies and being denied. You don't see that often. So this article caused me to think, and I read from my note, the pussification of a male was birthed in my womb, in the womb of my mind. We all have a mind that is birthing something from the seed of a thought. Everything that we think comes from a thought. Your thought and my thoughts are totally different. We can impregnate our mind with a thought from the things that we hear, television, radio, and music, and things that we read. And we bring forth that thought, and that thought is shown in our behavior over the years or over the months or weeks, depending on how long we allow it to grow there, depending on how much we add. We can say we add water to a natural garden to produce the seed to grow over months and through the environment and through the elements of the weather. It's the same with our thought. When we plant wrong thoughts in our mind, we think of ungodly thoughts in our mind, we continue to plant more thoughts of the same and similar nature in our mind, and they begin to produce a behavior. So our behavior, a male or female, our behaviors are from the thought that we think. So our behaviors, godly, ungodly, reveal the thought that we allow to grow into our mind. And we must begin to examine our thoughts, how our thoughts got there, where did it come from, and always ask why. Always say, do your own homework and ask why. Who benefits from my behavior? Who benefits from my behavior of being a pussified male? Who benefits from my behavior of the pussification of being a male? Who benefits from that? What are they going to get? So the definition of pussification, I'm going to, the Urban Dictionary defines pussification, a state of being, society become less tough. Less tough is what pussification means. And I saw another definition, the feminization of the American male, the act or process of being shaped, shamed, taught, led, pastored, drugged, or otherwise coerced into throwing out his brain, hanging up his testicles, and formally abandoning the rare air of his testosterone, rendered by, I'm sorry, leaded by God and hardwire, and he abandoned his hardwire and what he abandoned his mindset. A man supposed to be a man, and how does he learn to be a man? If he has a father in the home, his father teaches him how to be a man. How to be a man is not, I'm a man, no, with instructions, education, or investigating, doing your own homework, what's right, what's wrong, doing the right thing. As I get into this series, I don't want to get ahead of myself, and if I do, I'm just being led to go in that direction. But being a man is not, being a male, as I emphasize, has nothing to do with, as I mentioned, your race or the color of your skin. We all must, as males, must begin to examine our behavior, especially being a black male, from my own personal experience, and we have white males and Chinese and Mexican. It all applies to every one of us as being a male. When we look at one another, what can we learn from watching another male? Are they encouraging? Are they supportive in their ideas and the things that they believe? Are they educating us from their own experiences? And when a young man is born and raised in a house when his father has abandoned him, the mother begins to take on the role as a male, and then she takes on the role as a female. One thing I always did admire about a black female, I can't say about white female because I'm not around them, but what I have saw through my own personal experience that I admire about a black female, that they always provide for the young. They will take 2 or 3 jobs. They provide food on the table. They do what it takes to take care of their children. And then the bad thing about it is you meet a knucklehead black male will come around, pretend to love her, failing to, maybe he mentioned and maybe she has knowledge that he left another woman pregnant. Then he impregnate the new girlfriend, and it couldn't happen if she didn't allow him to get her pregnant. And the cycle go on and on and on. So you have a lot of baby kids. You have women that have children with multiple fathers. And when you speak the truth, people don't want to hear it. They'll consider you not one of us because you're pointing the finger at your own kind. No, I'm pointing the truth. I always wonder back in the day of the slavery that these individuals that were slaves held by the slave owners, did they wake up every morning thinking that their life would end? Of course. But some of them wanted freedom. They want to hear something different from, I'm being oppressed. Yes, there's history about slavery. I'm not going to deny that. But what are we going to do? What are you going to do about your life? How are you going to make a difference in somebody else's life? And always wonder, what encouraging words that they heard. And I'm quite sure they heard because if you look at your homework, do your homework, you see that a lot of black trailblazers, that I call them, dedicate their lives for a common cause to give us rights for today. And now we have these rights because of their blood and sweat and tears. And what are we doing with the rights that was given to us? And when we think about the things that we use, let me see how I can say it. I've been thinking about what I should say. And then sometimes when you're thinking about what you're going to say and you write down things, you wonder that you live a life of sin or whatever we do in our lifetime. And we look in the mirror and we go day to day and do the same old, same old, same old, same old. And then we do things to make our day feel better. And then that lasts for a while. And then there's another thing we do and we do and we do. And we keep experiencing the same thing over and over and over. So we got to come a point in our life that we got to look in the mirror and say, how can I make a difference? As I mentioned when I first started, say, first it came from me. First it came from the socialist, the unionist, or the Jew, and I did not speak out because I was neither one of them. Then I said, first it came from the white man, and I didn't speak out because I was not a white male. First it came from other races of male, and I didn't speak out because I didn't see any benefits for me. Then it came from the black male, and I didn't speak out because there was no black male to speak out for me. We as black males or other males, we must begin to speak out for the oppressing. We always say the different races are oppressing us. White males are oppressing us. As I mentioned, yeah, there's such things. History tells us that people were in slavery before you and I was born, and they're going to continue to be in slavery. But one person can make a difference. One person can make a difference. Why did I do what I do? I realized that out of my life of sinning and doing all kinds of things that I know was wrong, I came to a point through my own personal experiences that my life has to mean something. If I touch one person out of 100, I've done my job. And I didn't lose my thought. I get back to the thing about the black female. One thing I admire about the black female, that they're doing black females, and they're probably done in other races too. Any mother, I'll put it like that, any mother that has a child would do whatever it takes to provide food, clothing, shelter, and comfort for her child. In the midst of whatever, she would take whatever job, 2 or 3 jobs, to make ends meet. And then you meet a knucklehead brother or a different race of males, say, I don't want to work to Burger King and McDonald's because it doesn't pay me anything. And yet I go out there and sell drugs because I'm making money, I'm earning money. No, you're selling death in life and you're causing problems on the people's lives. When we as black males or any male refuse to speak up, then we're like the person say, then when they come from people, when they come to your neighborhood to round you up, you will have no one to speak for you. We know that from my personal experience as being a police officer, when I investigated many crimes where people done things, and I hear the background noise that someone says, "Oh, they deserve it," because what they did to so and so. Well, really, no, they didn't deserve it because it's still wrong that someone sought vengeance to shoot them. It's almost like, for example, the thinking. I call it pussification, or being pussified, weak in the mind, weak in the male mind. A male who have multiple sexual partners or have one female and he have sex with her, he begin to think not with his head between his eyes, he begin to think with his head below his waist and not thinking properly. So he meet another brother or another person, say, man, you're not thinking like a man, you're thinking like a girl, you're being feminine, because he is weakening because of the sex. So yes, sex is used to make men do certain things when they should not, and behave in a certain way. You have where some men will say, yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear, just to get along, yes, dear, to not to have an argument. It may sound good, it may be good, but it's still wrong. A man should stand up for being a man. It's not a man should be a man and rule over the woman. Everyone have their perspective place. A man cannot tell a woman how to have a baby because he cannot have a baby. Of course, today some men will go to a medical treatment and be impregnated and have a baby, but a man cannot tell a woman what to expect. If he has not done that, he can only tell her what he had read in a book. A woman who have gone through the 9 months of pain and labor to bring forth that child from her womb, you and I do the same thing spiritually speaking. We go through many months and weeks in our own mind from the thoughts that we think. And as I mentioned, this message does touch males and also cross over to women to recognize that, hey, wait a minute, am I in my proper order? A lot of things that we experience is happening because of being out of order. And I get back to what I mentioned about the black female, is that they are doing things that a black male or any male should be doing to provide for their children. A man should not, if he call himself a real man, if he say that he's a man, then he should begin to stand up and say, baby, let me go to work. I will take whatever job to take and go out there and provide for us. And she got to be say, wow, I respect that man because he's doing what it takes to provide for my baby and his child. And he's doing what he needs to do to put bread on our table. Not a man that sit home and watch TV and play Xbox and play games and all this kind of stuff and bring the homies over and they drink the 40 and they're sitting up there drinking beer and alcohol and doing all the stuff, and the woman has got to clean up behind them, and she done come home from work and doing what she needs to do, and then she providing for the children and he's sitting up there, oh, I'm not doing this and that. Yes, there are certain roles for men's and there's certain roles for females. And when a man is sitting on his duck, a man is sitting down not doing what he needs to do, as a man, he has been pussified. He has become weakened in his mind. And you see it every day. If you have or you listen to this message, you see it tomorrow, or you may see it momentarily, that when you meet certain men, they will reveal to you from their conversation, are they being manly? Are they being feminine? And feminine doesn't mean you're homosexual, because I'm not coming in that direction. Of course I can, but that's another message. But when a man is behaving in a female role in his mind, he's acting like a woman. He's thinking like a woman. To sit down and not work, to sit down and not provide for his children. You see a lot of, there again, you see a lot of black females, if you do your internet research, are speaking what they want from a man. You see a lot of black females saying they want this from a man. They want that from a man. And some males do not want to hold or take on a proper position because maybe they're raised in a house where there's no father. Okay, that's true. And that may be, but it's no excuse. If they really want to know how to behave as a male, they need to seek out help. But what gets us in trouble is because of our pride. It's like an individual who dropped out of school demand that he should get a good paying job, and he see that he can't get a good paying job. Do he decide to go back to school? No, he justify his behavior by thinking in a wrong mindset to say, I can sell drugs because I get more money. And then some females will enjoy that type of man because he can buy her whatever he wants. Is that good? No, it's still out of order. Everything that you and I do has an order. Everything that you and I do or is doing come with a sowing and reaping judgment. Have you ever thought about the things that you are doing now or have done in the past, and now you experience the consequences of the things you have done in the past, or you experience the consequences of what you're doing now? It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with, I don't believe you. You're going to get what you believe. If you believe that I'm telling you the truth, you're going to get what you believe. If you believe that I'm telling you a lie, you're going to get what you believe. There's no neutral fence where you and I sit on. There's no neutral fence where you and I sit on where we are not touched. So males, special, I'm speaking mostly in a direction toward our black males, and I say it's cross over to other males also, that they can touch their lives, and even females can understand that males need to begin to stand up and not be seduced from their thinking. When you watch TV and radio or listen to the radio and you see and hear men's not speaking in a manner of being a man and speaking, oh, it's hurt me. Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And society is pushing this on us. Do your own homework. There's a book out called The Feminization of American Society. As I mentioned earlier, You may not believe what I'm saying. You may say I'm speaking a lot of hogwash, and you may believe that. But what if something happened tomorrow and you heard something today and you did not accept it? What would you do? Will you have the opportunity to say, oh, I remember hearing this yesterday. Now I can begin to apply it to my life? No, you may not have an opportunity to apply it to your life. We must begin to look into the mirror of self and say, you know what? As a man, I have not stepped up to the batter's plate and hit those home runs and not being strike out. Yeah, I can strike out, but yet I can still get up and dust my feet off and hit a home run because I decide to walk out there into the world and look at myself, you know what? Selling drugs, drinking alcohol, sleeping with every other woman and getting them impregnated, bouncing from this woman to that woman to that woman to that woman. That does not define us as a man. You're being a female, you have been seduced into your wrong thinking, and you think you're a man. You're going to reap what you sow. So, those of you who really want to know the truth, I have no power to make you do anything. I have no power to beat you over the head. I call myself giving you education. Did I become this way overnight? No. As long as I could recall when I was young and small, I was one of these individuals that did not want to read a book because I used to study when I speak, and I still do once in a while when it comes to certain words. So I didn't want to read a book. But then I thought about if somebody want to hide something from me, they can put it in the book. I won't read it, especially if it did not have pictures. We must begin to open our minds and say, I'm going to educate myself from A through Z. I may not need it, but it may be needed. Someone else may need what I learned. We must get back to educating ourselves in all areas of society to better ourselves. When we limit ourselves, excuse me, when we limit ourselves to street talk, ebonics, and all this kind of stuff, we cannot communicate effectively when we go to a job. We are limited in our words. And sometimes we as males don't get a job because how we present ourselves and how we communicate what is asked of us. We go to interview and ask questions are being asked. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, you know how it is. No, that is not the proper way to be behaving in any job interview. If you want to change and be a real man, whatever that means, then we as males must begin to wake up and say, you know what? Look in the mirror and say, yeah, I allow myself, I am one of these males, has fallen into the trap of being a pussified male. My mind has been weakened because of sex. My mind has been weakened because of my own self-talk. My mind has been weakened because of external things that I see. My mind has been weakened because I'm justifying my behavior because I did not have a father as I grow up. I'm justifying my behavior because of whatever reason we can think of. We as males must begin to wake up and be an example for other males. When you look in the hood, when you look around, where can you turn on the TV? Where can you go to hear, this is how we must behave as a male? I thought the churches, you don't really hear from the churches because they don't want to offend the people because their members will leave. So the truth is not taught. So it's overlooked. So a man comes into the church and everyone knows that he is married and he's with his girlfriend or he's with his whatever, and then he might have slept with this person and that person, and no message is being taught on his behavior. Then other children say, well, mommy or daddy, isn't he married? Or, yeah, they're separated, whatever. So we as males must begin to quit justifying our behavior as to say we are real men when we are not. We as men must begin to think with this, not with what below our waist, and begin to allow ourselves. First, we must accept the truth about ourselves. And if you can accept the truth about your behavior and your mental thinking, then you're on the road to be delivered. Every operation that comes surgery, stitches, and pain, you're given prescription, given instructions on what to do, and over a period of time, the healing process begins and eventually you heal. We all as men must examine ourselves and say to ourselves when it has been revealed to us. And what gets us in trouble, as I mentioned, our pride gets us into trouble because we are afraid to admit that we have been weakened, that we are weak. So we put on this tough image as I'm a man, but deep inside, we are acting like a woman by our behavior. And if you know of a man that's living with a woman and he's not working and the woman is taking care of him, he's not a man. He's not a real man, if you want to call that. Because a real man, if you want to use that terminology, will be out there 9 to 5, 11 to 7, doing whatever it takes to provide for his loved one. Morally speaking, his loved one. Morally speaking, doing the right thing. Morally speaking, to his child, teaching his child. A woman can only teach what she knows. She can be a mother and a father at the same time, but she can't really teach her son how to be a boy, to grow up into a man. And when when there's no father in the home, then that type of instruction is lacking. And if the home is not getting it from the church, or if the grandfather, or someone that takes up for the young man, then you have a bunch of men, boys, growing up to be boys. They may be an adult on the outside, but their mind are little boys. They cry. It's like the book I wrote, The Hidden Tears of a Black Male. And what I mean by that, I wrote the title because tears, we look at tears as coming down someone's face. But what are tears? What are tears? You can see tears coming from any man or any woman from their behavior. And a behavior can be a form of tears, anger, frustration, unforgiveness, whatever you can think of can be our tears that's coming from our behavior. It don't necessarily have to be the tears that come out of your eyes. We must, men and women, must realize that we must change to make a difference. We can change. It's going to take time. We must change the way we think about things. We must associate ourselves with others individuals that's encouraging. Why would you be around someone that's not encouraging? You must be around someone that's inspiring, can give you information, will look you in the face and say, stop it, don't do that, quit behaving that way, you need to do the right thing. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, you may have to give up something. But think about it. When we refuse to give up anything because we are afraid to accept the truth, sooner or later, we're going to reap what we sow. And it won't be because I did not force you to do it. I did not force you to not accept what I'm saying. We all must consider what we're hearing. If you heard this message and you like what you have heard, share with other individuals. Don't think for them. I always have this old saying. If you have a question, ask the person the question and listen to their response and then make your decision and choice. Don't ask the question yourself and say, well, if I ask them this, they're going to do that. And then when you see them or hear from them, you get mad at them. No, we must begin to put things in proper order. As I mentioned, this message or series is about the pussified of American male, but it also can go across and touch other lives, other females. Other females of different races can learn from this message. If you like what you heard, you can comment, share what you learned with other people, and allow them to have an opportunity. because only God knows what is in store for you and I. Every time you and I blink our eyes and take a deep breath or take a breath, we have gone from the past, the present, and the future just by blinking our eyes, taking a deep breath. I take a deep breath, I left the past, I'm in the present, and then I'm moving into the future for another breath. It's the same. Think before you respond. And for you males out there who consider yourself a real man, that's good. If you're doing the right thing, if you're out there providing what you need to, if you're out there providing what it takes to give to your child or to your wife, that is good. But I know the majority I can see on the TV and hear on the radio and ride to any given neighborhood, even at this time of night. You see a lot of men on the corner, a lot of young men on the corner selling drugs, drinking their alcohol, sitting with their homies and doing whatever, go home, pass out, and do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And the question they should ask themselves, do they want to live their life doing the same thing over and over and over, only to die, put in the grave, and people forget about them? Oh yeah, I remember Joe was saying, or whatever, so-and-so was on the corner. No, he got shot, or he got killed, or he died, or whatever, from alcohol or drug use or whatever. Do you want your life to be remembered as that? Or do you want to make a difference in one child life, in one young man life? And what gets us in trouble, as I mentioned, is pride gets in the way that we don't want to say, you know what, I need to go back to school to get an education. You don't have to go to college. Pick up a trade and go out there and work and provide for your family or your children. Don't go around impregnating women after women after women. But of course, they choose to allow you to get them pregnant based on the things you told them. I love you, baby. You're the one for me. That woman that left is no good for me. She's that. And you believe it, and you get pregnant by him, and he turn around and leave you for another woman. We know that's going on as I'm speaking. Multiple women has been left and has been impregnated by this so-called I'm a real man. And he's thinking not with what between his eyes, if you get my drift. So I will be back on. Let me see, I think I was thinking that day was Saturday. So I'll be back on Saturday with another series of the pussification of the American male, how men are being pussified by the things they do, from what they see and what they hear. And hopefully by then, if I mentioned, do your own homework pertaining to the term pussification and being pussified, and you will see that if you are a man, that you are in that realm, you are behaving as that particular male. And females, if you have heard this, begin to look at yourself and say, am I behaving as what a woman, as I'm standing up to that man and say, you know what, you and I are through. Not about, if you're single, that's a different story. But if you are a man, you are married to your husband, you married and your husband living in the household with you, you and him need to sit down and begin to say, baby, I have some things to say to you that you may not like, and you need to hear. I can't force you. I can't make you do it. I can't make you accept it, but I want you to know, give him the opportunity to choose. And if he refuses to do what he needs to do, then you continue to be the wife that you should be for your husband. And eventually he may come around after you continue to do what you need to do. He may leave you even after the conversation, but at least you have put it in your relationship in the rightful order. So it is my prayer that you have gathered some information from this series that will be a blessing to you and to others. Until we, God willing, meet again by social media, have a nice evening. Thank you. And you can make a comment on my Facebook page and share with other people. Thank you.